my comic book friends. And I know there's nobody out there. So, uh, welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics live stream. I am Gary, your host. I hope the music isn't too loud. I got the kind of got that on. To kind of excuse, I got a fan on because it's warm. Even down here in the basement, it's warm. So, so I hope you can hear me okay this time. Uh, oh, and I want to thank everyone for who either shows up or watches later, as the case may be. And this time I was going to talk about, howdy! I got one. Family too important. Howdy, howdy, howdy. What a day. Yeah, I'll turn that down just a little bit more. And just a regular old day here, around here anyway. And I was going to talk about war comics this time. I love war comics, but I do not like war. As because my dad was in war, my brother was in war. I was in the Cold War, not in a shooting war. And how the bees? The bees are doing fine. The wife was having some problems with the hive, and she got it reinforced with a new queen and a new colony to take it over. So that's fine. So you got a couple other people on there. Hi there. Let me know who y'all are. So, what are the odds, especially what happened today? I don't understand. I think you're referring to Charlie Kirk. I just heard just a few minutes ago. It is terrible. That's not how we should be dealing with anything. But having said that, just it's terrible that he was shot. I know that's probably what you're talking about, and it is terrible. But if it was going to happen, it couldn't have happened. Well, I won't say that. I have no sympathy for him. I have all the sympathy in the world for his family because he was a hate monger. I haven't seen any of the details, so I don't know anything about it. But as I was starting to say, because what the subject is about is war comics. So wars are terrible, but I like them in as a story device. In comics, I love war movies. I like war novels, and I have an interest in some of the, especially World War II, some of the history. I'm not too that learned about it, but I've probably forgotten more than I know on that stuff. And anyway, well, up to 17. So that's what we're here to talk about. And like I said, had people, family members in the military. My dad was in the Navy. He was a witness to the Japanese surrender in World War II. My brother was in the Navy for 21 years during Vietnam and afterwards. I was in the Navy just during the Cold War on a submarine playing hide and seek with Soviet submarines and other ships. I had a stepbrother in the Navy, and I had an uncle in the Navy, and most of my uncles were in the military during World War II, in the World War II era, and so I it is a horrible thing, but it's a good story device. And as I was saying, I was on a submarine. I got a couple of books. This has nothing to do with comics here. A couple of I got 7 people. I have several books on submarines, but here's just a couple that were handy. Lost Submarines. This is kind of cool. Look at this. Old photographs and paintings. And here's the ship sinking. And And has, oh yeah, uh, diving on wrecks and stuff. That's pretty cool. And then here, this is another one, cool one, just on submarine. This is kind of like the one I was on. But this goes way back to way back in history. World War One, World War Two. I like submarine movies. Obviously, there's sometimes I see something that in a movie that I have difficulty watching though. I think one of these books had one of my ships in it. This is a British ship, like that. But I wish I had a model. But I got a little doodle here that I did today. It was my ship, SSBN 634. SS stands for submarine. The B stands for ballistic missile, and N is for nuclear. So, might tell a couple stories. Oh, got up to 45. Hello, everybody. I haven't been able to keep up here. Oh, is it true that you can't wear glasses? Oh, yes, you can. Unless they've changed it, I can't. Because I wore glasses for 6 years in the Navy. And it took about 4 or 5 years just to get a good pair of Navy issue glasses. The day I got them, they disappeared because we were turning over. We've been trying for years to get the glasses. I mean, these were good ones. These are for what kind that you could get basically a gas mask seal while you're wearing them, and they're called EAB glasses, emergency air breathing apparatus, EAB glasses. And we were turning over the ship to the other crew, and I was on watch, and we had to get our stuff off, and I tried to get somebody to relieve me because I was on watch, so I could go grab my stuff and put it out, take it off the ship. No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't do that. Oh, they said, we'll get it for you. What's your bunk? And I told them, said, get everything. Get everything. Of course, the only thing that they didn't get was my pillow and my glasses. Well, that's enough of that stuff. Though. Here talking about war glasses. Hello. Enoch. See here, Jeff Grant. Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is my ship's hat. That's why I'm wearing it. I don't normally, just because I was talking about war stuff. Big Frankie. What is W? Oh, okay. Anyway. Comics. We're here about comics. More comics. I have said there are a lot of comics that I had when I was that I don't have anymore when I was a kid. War comics and stuff, but I still have quite a few. Because I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, and war comics were pretty readily available, and those and westerns were the only comics my dad would read, and of course, but like here's one of my favorite. Oh yeah, don't have any much in the way of reprint or graphic novels or anything, but have the essential. I know it's backwards. The essential Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, #1, and these something fell. Oh. And these are getting hard to come by anymore too. I liked these because they were inexpensive and just good for reading, and reading is the main point. So that was Sergeant Fury, and then here I also have from DC Showcase. The War That Time Forgot. Oh, I love this. And this is Volume 1. This is one that, of course, they're fighting dinosaurs and stuff on that South Pacific island. And I was mentioning some of that the other day, and I think I suspect that the idea for that The War That Time Forgot might have been based on Edgar Rice Burroughs' The Land That Time Forgot, which took place during World War I on a submarine. They had some good submarine footage in that movie too, and on that submarine, and they got stranded on that island with the dinosaurs and stuff like that. But I have quite a few few comics. I'm just going to talk a little bit about. Oh, I keep forgetting. Okay, the original Star Trek was modeled slightly on how Navy crew operated. Yes, yes, it was. And I have told I have a friend who at the time she was in high school. She was just graduating high school and she was joining the Navy. And I told her then says the closest thing you're ever going to get to being on a starship, like in Star Trek, is on a submarine in the Navy. And it is. It's the closest thing you can get to that experience. And you get whole hours and months and weeks of sheer boredom, punctuated by occasional moments of sheer terror when something happens, when something goes wrong. The big book noise, yeah. So anyway, yeah, those are big books. But those are the only two of those. I want Sergeant Rock, but I never saw one when it was new and readily available. And now any of the Sergeant Rock showcase reprints are ridiculously expensive. And what can you do? I've never seen one. I don't think I've ever seen a showcase of Sergeant Rock. I've seen them on online, but I've never seen one in the bookstore or a comic shop. I guess they got snagged. So I'll just show a few, and maybe I tell you what I've been thinking for quite a while. I would like to do is maybe sometime do a graphic novel of sea stories from because I'm always telling sea stories. My wife loves to hear sea stories. Some sea stories that I've got from my experiences on board ship, and this isn't war type stuff. This is mostly just living on the ship, on submarine type stories, and also maybe some from that I've heard sea stories from some of my shipmates, and do a graphic novel of some of those. And maybe I'll tell you a sea story or two. So I was a fan of Weird War Tales. Yeah, me too. I've got a big stack of comics here. We don't even have to go through all of them, but I've got more. But I didn't want to dig them out. These were all pretty handy. But here we have Our Army at War, number 273, featuring Sergeant Rock. Of course, Joe Kubert cover. Joe Kubert is the best. He did. He's my favorite Tarzan artist, and he was also my favorite war artist. Followed immediately by Russ Heath. And this is so. Even though Joe Kubert did this cover, from the time, this doesn't get the year here. I'd have to dig it out. But I'm guessing about 73, 74, somewhere like that. So it was probably Russ Heath. Marvelous. I've covered some of them in my couple times in my on my regular videos. So Sergeant Rock. Yeah, I love Sergeant Rock. And of course, one of the neat things about Sergeant Rock is because it was always pretty grounded in reality, except when it wasn't. Like he teamed up with Batman a couple of times, and some other things. They had that recent, which I still haven't read, miniseries, Sergeant Rock and what was it, the Monster Legion or whatever they call it, I can't remember. It was of a horror nature. Yes, war is horrifying enough. And Sergeant Rock. I lost my train of thought. It happens when you get old. Yeah, and like he had to team up with the Viking Prince that one time. I think I did an episode on that one. Yeah, he came out when we were in the, well, no, he didn't come out then. It was in the, I think late 50s. There have been a few times when they've been talking about Sergeant Rock, making Sergeant Rock movies. Here we have number 285, Our Army at War, featuring Sergeant Rock, with another great Joe Kubert cover. Um, and see, because I remember hearing, must have been about 40 years ago, and Bruce Willis was tapped to play Sergeant Rock in that. But of course, nothing ever came of it. And then they had, I heard talk again in the 90s, maybe going to use Arnold Schwarzenegger as Sergeant Rock. And and, and he could have been good, if decent as Sergeant Rock too. I would, but I think with Bruce Willis, I heard that they were going to put him in Vietnam. And Sergeant Rock is not a Vietnam story. Definitely would not run a Sergeant Rock movie featuring Vietnam. And so if they ever do a Sergeant Rock movie, they have to put it in World War II. And I don't know who, had they made it like in the 60s, I want to say James Coburn might have been good. And the other actor I had in mind, I really cannot think of his name. I know it. It's right there. I thought of it earlier today. The real deep voice. Starred in The Dirty Dozen. What else? Dirty Dozen. Paint Your Wagon with Clint Eastwood. And he had some good movies. Kelly's Heroes. That was a real good one. Good movie. Then here we have Gimme Sky. See, number 314, and by this time they had just changed the title to Sergeant Rock, and they still had the backup story, and still Joe Kubert doing the covers. By this time, so it's 35 cents. This would have been what, 82, maybe. Still would have been some good stuff. But the art would not have been as good as Joe Kubert or Russ Heath on the inside. But they still have some fine art. Then here is Sergeant Rock number 353. And of course, another Joe Kubert cover. That's basically all you're going to get. Sergeant Rock. Easy Company. I guess when it started with Sergeant Rock, it was more about the unit, Easy Company. But began to focus more and more on Rock himself. But I love Sergeant Rock. He is my favorite war comic hero character, and Nick Fury probably a close second. Sergeant Fury. Nick Fury was later within this. And here we have Sergeant Rock is Dead, number 399. And guess what? It's a Joe Kubert cover. Got any more people out there? Want to say anything? Like the comments? And then here we have 1982 annual Sergeant Rock. Oh, and this one's actually, it looks like it's hand painted. This is, that looks right out of Where Eagles Dare with Clint Eastwood and Richard Burton. Some of these I'm going to have to cover some of these sometime. And here is In Darkest Night, number 354, 50 center, Sergeant Rock. These GIs look like they were torn apart by some kind of animal, and I think it was. And guess what? It's another Joe Kubert cover. Sorry, just overthinking. And our Army at War goes back a ways to issue number 271, Battle Harvest. Ooh. And guess what? It's the Joe Kubert cover. The whole thing could be just Sergeant Rock and Joe Kubert. And like I was thinking, telling a story. When you first go to sea on a submarine and pull out. See, my kind of submarines, Fleet Ballistic Missile submarine. They have two crews: the Gold crew, which is what I was on, and the Blue crew. And so you alternate. You make a deterrent patrol for about 3 months, and then you swap crews, so that each crew makes about 2 patrols a year. So I've forgotten. It's been so long. I've forgotten just how many patrols I was on. But I'm thinking it was 7 patrols. We did 2 DESOs, which is a demonstration shakedown operation, and in which you actually go to sea and launch a missile for testing. And we did that twice. And the rest of the time was patrols. That's going out hiding from the Russians. And we played hide and seek. We had times when we were, because I was a missile technician working in the missile compartment. But if I'm gabbing too much, you hate the feeling of the ocean moving back and forth. Oh, myself. Well, you actually on a submarine you don't feel it that much. Oh, on the surface you do. But see, you think of a big ship or something, and you do back and forth in a submarine. Your draft is rolling because a submarine has a deeper draft. That means their keel sits lower in the water than an aircraft carrier, and it's just the way it's designed so it sits so low, and when it's on the surface, and there you can do some bobbing around, but you don't unless you have some really heavy sea states. You don't get a whole lot. I mean, we had at sea sometimes, and I got seasick on sea trials, and but that was at North Atlantic in the wintertime. That was storms, This was right out of the shipyard, and I got seasick. But that was the only time I got seasick on that ship. But we had other times when, if we had a big storm topside, and usually, if you're down at 150, 200 feet, whatever it may be, and got storm topside and you're just putting right along. But we would take sometimes at 150 feet and have big storm topside, and we were still taking good rolls. We've taken rolls so much that you're bouncing off the bulkheads as you walk down the passageway. This is David in Southern Florida. Hey, good evening. Florida man. And I was going to tell a story. Oh, when you first go to sea, you test everything. You pull out. It's just a test, or when you're just going out to sea on patrol before you get to your patrol area, and you take your. You have to check, make sure everything. To test it, make sure everything that's supposed to be shut and watertight is, and make sure that everything that is stowed properly. So, because believe it or not, something that isn't stowed properly, secure, tied up and fastened or whatever it's supposed to be, in an emergency, especially if you take a roll, it can, in the words of our weapons officer said, it will effing kill you. It's true. David, South Florida. Oh, and said hi. And so what we do is we do what's called angles and dangles, and I'll show you what that's like. You're going puttering right along, but you're shallow, go along pretty shallow, and then you go. So you go deep, and that's when, if you see it in the movies, in the submarine movie, pop, pop, crack, pop, crack, pop. And that's the water pressure squeezing the hull together. It goes pop, crack. And we never did it, but we could have, where you could tie a string, and it's tight, and then as you go down, the string gets looser. We never did it, but it would have worked. We didn't have it, but so you go like that, and then you go like that, and then you go like that. Meanwhile, you're supposed to be checking everything, seeing what stuff goes flying and what doesn't, and make sure nothing is leaking. But then, what we do while we're doing that, we get up an upper level missile compartment. That's just for the missile technicians. That's because we have, here's the compartments. Torpedo room is one more compartment. Operations compartment is where the crew's berthing, all the operations, the con, mess decks, all that other stuff is in there. Then there's the missile compartment where we have 16 missile tubes. And then after that is the reactor compartment and auxiliary machinery room 2. Machinery room 1 is in the missile compartment. And then you have the engine room. Okay, so missile techs, we get up here in the upper level missile compartments where you got these tubes and you got all this equipment built into the side here, so that it's almost impossible to walk straight down the compartment because there's stuff sticking out. We would sit down on the deck, and then we'd go down like this. When we sit down, and we go like a slide, boom, down there, and as we're going to just sit on your butt and get your feet up in the air and slide, and then you're dodging stuff, boom, 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 all the way down to the other end. Then everybody gets up, and then when the ship's going to go up again, you do it the other way. Sailors, they make their own entertainment. Okay. Our Army at War, number 270, and guess what? It's Joe Kubert doing Sergeant Rock. Yeah, Sergeant Rock. And then here is number 253, still Sergeant Rock, Joe Kubert. Oh, this is one of my favorite covers and one of my favorite stories. It says, "Can rock be broken by iron?" Features the Iron Major. He's got a steel hand. This is one of my favorites. And one of my other favorite, I don't have it here, it's stashed away someplace else. This is the last of the Sergeant Rock that I got. Oh, no, it's not. Another one that I love, but it's for the Haunted Tank. And it's where it's got this big old Nazi robot ripping the tank open. And it's too bad the story didn't really match that cover, because it's a great cover. And here's another one. This is a 10 cent. This goes way back. And our Army at War, number 87. So 10 cents. I think this is like 59 or 60. I'm not sure if this was the issue or something else that I covered one time. Oh. And here is 100-page special. Our Army at War, number 275. Lots of stories in this one. My dad was a draftsman in the late 50s and early 60s for submarines. Oh, that's cool. So he was a draftsman. So he was for on drawing the blueprints, designs for the designers and for the shipyards. I had considered becoming an illustrator draftsman instead of a missile technician. And in a way, I wish I had, because that would have given me a big leg up when I got out of the Navy. Because I went to art school after I got out of the Navy. They would have paid for it, and I would have gotten the hands-on experience and had been able to get a job. I haven't been able to get work after I got out of art school. David in South Florida says, own around 1K plus Golden Age, Silver Age era. Don't have many war comics. Oh, well, that's okay. They don't make much in the way of war comics anymore, unfortunately. Then in the later 80s, it was G.I. Joe practically took over the only war comic market. And a lot of people would not really consider that war comics. I do, even though it's entirely fictitious. These are too. And here's another one. Number 249, Our Army at War, Sergeant Rock. and they're about to toss grenades into the shack to blow up the Nazi soldier, not realizing there's a baby in there. Always do kinds of stuff like that. One short step. Sergeant Rock, number 308. So this must have been not too long after they changed the title from Our Army at War to just Sergeant Rock. Personally, I wish they had kept that title instead of changing it to Sergeant Rock. Oh, it's been 30 minutes. I'm surprised. Still got 6 people. All right. Anybody else got any comments or questions or anything? Maybe. Did you like my sea story? I got others. I could tell some others too. And this is Sergeant Rock number 339. Looks like it must be taking place during D-Day. And here's Sergeant Rock Special. This is from 1990. Guest starring Enemy Ace. So this would have been in the special. This would have been a reprint. Rick Burkett did that cover. So we finally got somebody other than Joe Kubert on the cover. And then here we just have Joe Kubert's Sergeant Rock, number 4 of the Prophecy of a 6-part miniseries. This is cool. Unfortunately, I think this is the only issue I've got. That's one of the Easy Company. Then we go to, actually, it's not all DC either, but we'll see if I get down that far in the stack. Feels like time is moving really fast. Yeah. You're just okay, Chris Wilson, just getting into comics. Well, there are all kinds of comics. They got comics for everybody. And as I say in some of my videos, because some of the videos that I cover comics and graphic novels that are library books, not mine. As I keep saying, you don't necessarily have to buy your own comics to be a comic fan and reader, because the public library, most of them anymore have a whole section of graphic novels, both the juvenile and the adult, and reprints of. We got lots of. One here is a lot of the EC horror books. Okay, here's 4-Star Battles, number 3. It's a 20 center, and this was, as I was saying, the War of the Time Forgotten. This is a reprint from earlier 60s. War comics. Any war comics that you all out there like in particular, or what about a movie? When I was growing up, of course, the war movies and TV shows. It's movies like TV shows like Combat and the Rat Patrol. Of course, Hogan's Heroes. Later was the Black Sheep Squadron, McHale's Navy, and I can't remember what. A lot of the others that I just don't remember. I think there were a few, and of course movies like the Battle of the Bulge, Patton, A Bridge Too Far. I still love to watch those. The Alistair McLean books, the Guns of Navarone. It's always been one of my favorites. But as far as submarine movies, one of my favorite submarine movies is Ice Station Zebra. But then I watched that, and it's cool because they got the set is very authentic. Of course, that's a Fast Attack submarine. It's very authentic. But one of the things that gets me in watching that is they don't give repeat backs. A lot of that gets me on Star Trek too. I love Star Trek. But they go, "Aye, Captain," or whatever. So, give them a repeat back. It gives you an order. You give a repeat back. Like the chief of the boat in Ice Station Zebra grabs it and says, "Surface" on the 1MC, the system for everyone could hear it. And he goes, surface. I said, no, that's not how you grab that, take that one MC and you go to surface and you go, surface, surface, surface. You say it 3 times, just like you do. Same thing when they dive. So dive. No. It's Allah, Allah, Allah. Dive, dive, dive. Allah, Allah, Allah. That's the diving alarm. Oh, that's hard. When someone tells you something, it's like on Star Trek, say, set course 590 Mark 10, and they go, "Aye, Captain." Said, no, you come back and say, "Set course 590 Mark 10." Aye, sir. It gets me. Repeat backs. I was working as a security guard years and years ago, and we had radios and mobile. We'd drive around the property in the mobile unit, and I had just started there. And then I had another guy who had started just a few weeks before, and he was a former Marine. And after he walked up to me and said, "You must have been in the Navy, right?" I said, "Yeah, how'd you know?" I said, "I could tell by the way you talk on the radio." Because I would give all the repeat backs and stuff just like I would on board ship. It says, any more? I still got 5 people. I'll just show some more comic books. And another war that time forgot in GI War Tales, number 2. More. I loved these because I was, of course, dinosaur fan. And this is a cool one. This got the PT boat in it. Don't miss the killing ground. And somebody mentioned Weird War. So here's one. I think I did an episode on this one. This is a Giant. Weird War Tales Giant, number 36. It looks like it's War of the Time Forgotten with a modern soldier fighting a caveman, but that's not the way that story was. But that's a good hook, though. That would have been a good story. And another Weird War Tales. This is number 42. Skeletons flying a World War I German airplane shooting down an American Mustang. Yeah. And okay, I'll go just a few more minutes, and because I got 6 people, I wish you'd get me a little more interaction here. But it doesn't look like I'm going to get down to the Marvel comic. But here, Our Fighting Forces, featuring the losers, the new losers. And guess what? It's got a Joe Kubert cover. But if I remember correctly, this is funny because they're hauling that stuff. They think they're scot-free, but then you see he's hauling a mirror, and you can see the Nazis behind him. And not a German in sight. A town full of losers, plus patrol to hell. And I think this might have been a John Severin issue. I love John Severin's work on the war comics and the westerns as well. It's just great. And I loved his work with Herb Trimpe doing the Hulk. That's some of the best Hulk, non-Kirby Hulk art, in my opinion. And here's a GI Combat Dollar Comics from number 203. And this is featuring the haunted tank. And the Germans got their grubbies on that tank. Oh, shucky darn! I forgot I was going to dig out my 12-inch GI Joe figure. I've used that before in videos, but yeah, that's when I was a kid, I had at different times 2 GI Joe figures, 12-inch figures. One, I think it was for my 7th birthday, That would have been around 67, 60, somewhere in there. I think somewhere along in there. And he was a soldier, Army. And I wanted to save him. And then several years later, I got another one that was an astronaut with the space capsule and stuff. And many years later, while I was away in the Navy, my stepmother's grandkids got a hold of that GI Joe, and no two pieces remained stuck together. They literally tore him to pieces. Here's a GI Combat number 207. And guess what? It's a Joe Kubert cover. Haunted Tank. It's with the ghost of Jeb Stuart. Got 8 epics of explosive war. Ladybird scores 0. I might have to do an episode on some of those stories. And I did do one on this issue. This is 4-star Battle Tales, number 5, 20 center, and I did an episode on this one. Rick Stein did the art, but it's got a story back here. And this is from the late 50s or early 60s, but it was reprinted here in the 70s. And but the artist is Mort Drucker. Mort Drucker did a lot of war comics, and Mort Drucker is best known for doing the caricatures of actors and stuff for the movie parodies at Mad Magazine for decades. And I've got one featuring him coming up. Men of War, number 7, first full-length novel. The Deadly Danger of a Milk Run. Oh, and this features Gravedigger. Never got too many of those. Taking out that Stuka with that handheld Tommy gun. I don't know if he could do that or not, but I sure would like to see that. And I'll do one more. I've got a whole bunch more, but I'm going to do one more because we're running kind of long here. Boy, I'm not getting any interaction from anybody here. And here, another Star Spangled War, number 137. This is a 12 center, but this one actually has a submarine in it, and it is another from the War That Time Forgot. Those are cool. I love those. And I will show this one here just because Joe Kubert presents. This is the only one I've got of this is issue 3 of 6. And this is reprinting some stuff. This is Navy here, and it's got USS Stevens. And one of the other great war comic artists was Sam Glanzman. Did a lot for DC Comics, and he was both the writer and artist for the USS Stevens series, because he was on the USS Stevens in World War II, and so his series was based on his life aboard the ship, and that's what it was all about, just life on the ship. And so that's it. Then I've been last few live streams because someone previously had asked about some artwork. So I have a few pages here, not related to the war comics. A few things here, and these are all like 30 plus years old. As I said, last time I did some of these I was working security at the time, and at night had a lot of downtime, and I would draw comic pages on some stuff that I had available, which was in this case was manila, this yellow manila paper board, and of course this is, I can't get a hold of it. I hear some spacey stuff, but it turns into some superhero-y type stuff. All this is all original. This was just that's first page, and here's the second page. coming down, going into action, meeting up with a buddy. Then they're attacked by the villainess, whoever she is. Kablooey, explosion, kablooey. Just an opportunity to do some various things. And she attacks, and they go on the counteroffensive. And the last of these pages, kablooey, yeah, take out the wall. So that's all I've got for the artwork that I was going to show you. And that's it. And even though I've got a whole stack more, I'm not getting much in the way of interaction, and I've got some dishes to wash before the wife gets home from her bee meeting. Yeah, she's my wife is a beekeeper, and once a month she's got a meeting for the bee club for all the other beekeepers, and so that's a good opportunity to do a live stream like this. So that, I think, is all I've really got to share with you this time around. I'll show this one more time. Some really great stuff. So I want to thank everyone who joined me this evening. I would have liked to have a little bit more interaction, but it's not bad. I take what I can get. It was the last live stream that was the most interaction I've had. And so, I don't know what to do for next month. We'll see. Maybe not. Maybe a sequel, because I got another big stack of books here. So that's all. Thank you for joining me. Like, share, subscribe for those who are seeing it later. And remember, comics are art. Thanks again, everyone out there. And this is where I always have difficulty shutting the thing off. So, ships ahoy. Or is that chips ahoy? Anchors away. Arrivederci. And go underway under nuclear power.